Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Christmas week on RTO. We got a fun packed week this week, but today we're starting off with sort of normal sort of program type things. We've got an album ranking for you. This time it's The Move, which is part 2 of our little Jeff Lynne story. The Move were formed in the late 60s in Birmingham by Roy Wood, and the original band was Carl Wayne, Ace Kefford, Bev Bevan and Trevor Burton. They made 4 albums and some singles, so today I'm going to rank the 4 albums, and I'm going to give an honourable mention to some of the singles that weren't on any albums, because you can't do The Move without these songs. I'm not going to rank the singles, I'm just going to talk about them. So let's start. So coming in at number 4, we have the final album released in 1971, Message from the Country. Now the thing about this album is that it was recorded simultaneously along with the first Electric Light Orchestra album. So it's a little bit confusing in places, but we'll go through it. Okay, performing on this album was Roy Wood, Jeff Lynne and Bev Bevan. By this time The Move were just a 3-piece band. Okay, the first track on the album is the title track called A Message from the Country. It's not a bad track. It's quite mellow in places. It's an excellent track in some respects, but it's just quite mellow. One of Jeff Lynne's songs. You can see where he was going, and yeah, it's all right. Second track is Ella James. Love this track. Well, my favourite track on the album. Nice vocal from Roy on this. Really strong track. Then we get No Time. Now this is a mixture of ELO meets Jethro Tull. It's a little bit confusing, to be quite honest. Solid track, but it's in no one direction or the other. Don't Mess Me Up. You'd hear this sort of sound with Jeff Lynne in his career as a producer. Very good little track. Until Your Mama's Gone, a great little rocker. Very Roy Wood wizardy type sound, really good. Then the next track is It Wasn't My Idea to Dance. I personally find this track a little bit wishy-washy in parts. It's not very cohesive either. It just seems to be off the boil a little bit. Yeah, The Minister, very ordinary sort of track. Nothing that really grabs me. Ben Crawley's Steel Company. This is Bev Bevan doing some vocals, and all I'll say is, Bev, stick to the drums, mate. The Words of Aaron, another mellow track. I don't know, I find this a little bit crossover between ELO and Move. It's neither one or other. And the last track on the album, My March. This is probably the worst thing I've ever heard by the Move, and it's awful. Okay, this album has got some good tracks on it. Yeah, it is a little bit confusing though. When you're recording 2 albums at the same time, I think there's too much crossover. You can't have it. If you listen to the first ELO album, there's bits of The Move on that. It's It's a good album, don't get me wrong, I like this album, but I do find it a little confusing at times. I don't know if I'm listening to ELO or The Move, and for that reason it's number 4, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay then, coming in at number 3 we have the debut album Move from 1968. The band on this is Carl Wayne, Roy Wood, Trevor Burton guitars, Ace Gifford bass and vocals, and Bev Bevan on the drums. First track, Yellow Rainbow. Great little pop song from the late 60s, solid track, no problems with that. Kilroy was here, very psychedelic. I like this. It reminds me of very early Pink Floyd as well. Pretty good. Here we go round the Lemon Tree, another of those nice pop songs from the 60s. I've got no problem with pop from the 1960s at all, and I like that track a lot. Weekend, very short, but it's just great rock and roll. Roy Wood singing a belter there. Walk Upon the Water, no, I'm not very keen on this one. I have struggled with that one all through listening to The Move. No, but the next one I love. It's the classic Flowers in the Rain. First song to be played on Radio 1, of course. Wonderful song, love it to bits. My favourite track on the album and one of my favourite Move tracks. Hey Grandma, it's alright I suppose. It's not particularly brilliant, it's not excellent, it just sits quietly at the end of side 1 of an album. Side 2 we have Useless Information. This is a quirky little Move number. It's rock and roll, and I love rock and roll, and it's a good number. Then we get Zing Went the Strings of My Heart. Never been a fan of that one either. Just find it a little bit more peculiar. The Girl Outside. First track that I think we've got some strings on it, and this one does sound a little bit like something off the first ELO album, and I've got no problems with that. It's pretty strong. Then we get another classic, the Fire Brigade. Awesome track. I was lucky enough to see like a rehashed version of The Move at the Heartbeat 86 concert at the NEC. I've spoke about this concert a few times, and this was brilliant. It was great to hear all these great tracks by The Move live. Pretty cool track, the Fire Brigade. Next track is Mist on a Monday Morning. Bit like this morning really, it's a bit gloomy out there. It's funny, I've got a view of the flats, and just up there's an old people's home, so when I get too old they can just roll me up there. Not a bad track. Cherry Blossom Clinic, it's a mixture of pop and psychedelia here. Very good track. Very good debut album. It's got a mixture of simple 60s pop, a little bit of psychedelia. Pretty cool album. I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2 we have Shazam, the second album released in 1970. I think it was the same year as... no, it wasn't. Ignore me. Don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Shazam 1970. On here we have got Carl Wayne. This was the last album that Carl Wayne would be on. Roy Wood, Bev Bevan, and the first album to have Rick Price on the bass after Trevor Burton had departed. He did play on one track, which we were not unsure of, and then Tony Visconti did bass on Beautiful Daughter, so it's a bit of a mixture of bass players on here. First track, Hello Susie, classic cover but from Amen Corner. It's not a bad version of this. In fact, I think this is a better version. Really strong song, really like that. Beautiful Daughter, really good mellow sound to this, pretty cool track. Then we get Cherry Blossom Clinic Revisited. Little bit of spoken word from Bev, and him speaking on it is better than him singing. Then we get this little medley of Jesus Joy of Man's Desire, in the Sorcerer's Apprentice, Chinese Dance, bit of Tchaikovsky as well. It's quite good. It's a little thing, great bass on that. It's quite long as well, and I enjoy that. Side 2 is Fields of People, originally done by Ars Nova. Like this, very proggy, psychedelic as well, really strong track, and it is far better than the original, I must admit. I love this version of it. Then we have another cover, Don't Make My Baby Blue, originally done by Frankie Lane, of course. This is a great version of this song, really heavy, much better than Frankie Lane's. And then another cover song, The Last Thing on My Mind, originally done by Tom Paxton. Another good cover, really superior to Tom Paxton's. Great track. Okay, you know me and cover bands that do lots of covers on an album. I'm not very keen on it, but this one I am. Probably one of my favourite albums that's got cut songs of covers, because they do them so much better than the originals. It's a great album. I love this album. Play this a lot. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay then. Coming in at number 1. This was Jeff Lynne's first album with The Move. Released in 1970. Looking On. Absolutely stonking album this is. So we've got Roy Wood, Jeff Lynne, Bev Bevan, Rick Price and P.P. Arnold and Donish Troy doing some backing vocals. Opens up with the title track, Looking On. Love this. Heavy riffs, absolutely cranking guitar work. Awesome track. Turkish Tram Conductor Blues. Heaviest track on the album, one of the heaviest tracks on the album, and one of my favourites. Really heavy, great guitar work on this one, and some tremendous drumming from Bev Bevan. And very underrated drummer, and you know how good he was, because when he did that tour with Black Sabbath, he was good. Heavy, hard-hitting drummer. And we'll talk about more him next week, of course. Then we get What. Certainly got them elements creeping in of the Jeff Lynne style of writing. Absolutely wonderful track. Then we get When Alice Comes Back to the Farm. Another great track. Love the slide in this. Brilliant guitar work. Open Up Said the World at the Door. Bev Bevan's drumming in this. Absolutely brilliant. Again, brilliant track. Then we get the brilliant Brontosaurus, one of my favourite songs. Great again, another classic from The Move. Feel Too Good. Again, Bev's outstanding on this track. Great bass line on this as well. Really, really, really good. Then he goes into a little hidden track called The Duke of Edinburgh's Lettuce. Weird and wonderful. Bit of fun nonsense at the end of the album. This is the best album that the Move ever put out. It's one of their heaviest. It's got some great tracks on here. And what a way for Jeff Lynne to open up with the Move. His presence is certainly on this, and what he wanted to do, and it's a brilliant album. And I give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, well normally that's where we say that's it, thank you, good night, and turn the light off. But today we've got some honourable mentions, because apart from we're releasing these 4 excellent albums, because they all are good, I don't dislike any of them. They also released a few singles that didn't appear on albums, so we'll have a quick look at those. We'll go on. We're doing them in sort of chronological order. So, Night of Fear, debut single released on the 9th of December 1966. So it's roughly 55 years old, this song. On here we've got Carl Wayne doing the lead vocals, Trevor Burton on guitars, Ace Kefford on the bass, Roy Wood and Bev Bevan. I love this song because it's got that little catchy, very, very, very catchy song. Always a firm favourite. Second single, released in 1967. I Can Hear the Grass Grow. Again, we've got Carl Wayne, Roy Wood, Trevor Burton, Ace Kefford and Bev. Great track. I know in Status Quo did this on that Don't Stop, and they do a great version of this. It's a great song to cover anyway, but the original, of course, is the best version. And this was the second of a string of 4 successive top 5 singles for the Move, so pretty good. Then another single they released that failed to make the charts, and I'm surprised because it's Wild Tiger Woman. Again, it's got Carl Wayne, Roy Wood, Trevor Burton, Bev Bevan, Nicky Hopkins on pianos. Never understood why this didn't chart, because it's a really good rock track, absolutely brilliant track. Then of course we get in 1968, sorry, the fantastic Blackberry Way. Apparently the Move vocalist Carl Wayne refused to sing this, so Roy Wood did. Also featured on harpsichord a certain Richard Tandy. But it was sort of the end of Trevor Burton had enough of it, and he didn't really like this, and he left certainly soon after it. Classic song, of course, probably one of the best songs and most well-known songs by the Move. I love it, really good. Another song, another single they released in 1971, Chinatown, and it was recorded at the same time as they were recording the first ELO album. But former Move vocalist Carl Wayne claimed it was his favourite song by the band, and it was Jeff Lynne wrote the B-side as well. I'd say it's the weakest song of their singles they released. It's not the best track, unfortunately. And then another single they released around about the same time, California Man. It's a pastiche of Little Richard, which was Roy Wood's favourite musician at the time. Jerry Lee Lewis was Jeff Lynne's favourite musician at the time. So you've got this cross between Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard rock and roll number. It is really good. I like that track. And the last single they released is a song that all of us know very, very well. Do Ya? Yes, it's the same one that appears on an ELO album, but The Move did it first. This has got less string on it, but more guitar. And I'd say it's a great track version as it is as well. A little bit more heavier, I'd say, but still a great track, and I do like Do Ya. Okay then, that's The Move. And as we know, while they were recording a Move album, they were recording an ELO album. And next week we'll be looking at Jeff Lynne coming up to the plate, and what he's done ever since. We'll be looking at ELO, of course. Okay, we've got another show today as well. This one's a little special one. It's a retro ranking special on Mike Nesmith and the Monkees, who sadly passed away while I was off air. So I'll be looking at my favourite Monkey songs, plus a few honourable mentions. I'll be back for that later, so take care for now.